Hey guys, welcome back to another What If Here. Today we're doing part 4 to What If Naruto was sent back in time but became a character. If you want to know what happened in the last part, there'll be a link in the description down below which takes you to a playlist where you can watch all the previous parts in order. With that out of the way, let's get into this. So it'd be 3 months. It'd been 3 months since Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura have somewhat been getting or have been a team, as though currently they would be at the front gates of Konoha. The reason why is because Kakashi wanted them there. He had previously told his team them a week ago that he had gotten them another somewhat C-rank mission, and after the somewhat week to meet him at front gates in a week or that. And though they would be currently somewhat looking at him a bit confused, besides from the fact that he wasn't his customary 3 hours late and he was there on time, which somewhat disturbed a couple of them, as why was somewhat Kakashi there since they're there on time? Something has to be something bad they somewhat maybe thought. So Kakashi in some way, though as Naruto somewhat finally get there, being a couple of minutes late due to just not exactly wanting to rush. Though Kakashi was more than fine, obviously rating because he makes them wait 3 hours. So anyway, now that she was there, Kakashi somewhat start to explain to them what the mission was and why he told them yesterday to somewhat not really come, somewhat to really only say somewhat kind of have maybe like a kind of first aid kit and some obviously some more more kunai than you may generally carry on you. And Sasuke just obviously listened to him. Sakura was going to ask some questions, though Naruto had asked them first, so there was no need for her to ask them, as they both were together, spending time together. As Naruto had asked, obviously, somewhat, kind of what about obviously camping gear, which Kakashi had just somewhat told them that it'd be slightly it'd be like the same kind of say it would be done within a couple of hours. There would be no need for camping gear, as it's not that far away, nor will it take that long to get the mission over and done with, or at least it shouldn't, all things going well. Though Kakashi would somewhat tell them that the mission was obviously somewhat C-rank. He'd already told them that, though he said it again, and also tell them that this was a bandit camp mission. They'd asked what he meant by that, and he'd said, well, pretty much we'll be executing or just killing the bandits that have somewhat joined together to form a camp. And they would somewhat be a bit shocked, though somewhat Sasuke would have an odd kind of smile on his face, which Kakashi somewhat could almost not exactly recognise the smile, but would understand why. It was because that Sasuke was somewhat having that smile because it was one step further in his quest to kill his brother, to kill Itachi, as after all he would eventually have to kill, and killing now, getting it out of the way, he could obviously grow to get used to killing as he would be after, he would have to obviously be used to killing to be able to kill his brother with no remorse whatsoever. And yeah, the Kakashi somewhat saw obviously on the two girls' face, Naruto and Sakura, a more realistic, obviously somewhat look of kind of somewhat surprise and obviously uncomfortable and somewhat surprised in that. And a couple of other emotions as well. Though he'd somewhat tell them, though he'd obviously reassure them that they would be, somewhat fine and that these are somewhat bandits. If they themselves don't kill them now, they'd more or less obviously grow in size until, they're able to start taking, obviously you say killing, taking civilians, raping women and girls and, children. And yeah, if we don't kill them now, that's what lays in the future for the girls and women that walk past that. And if they get big enough and strong enough, then you're looking at Shinobi as well, and gaining females as well. So yes, Naruto could somewhat be Naruto didn't really need to hear that, but still hearing it would still somewhat already strengthen her, somewhat strengthening resolve to go through, to not obviously want to back out. And yeah, it would just somewhat help Sakura to really somewhat kind of sat her down and realise that yes, Shinobi, they are gonna have to obviously kill. And yeah, and so Kakashi would somewhat have them with somewhat after obviously asking them how much kunai and chicken, they brought mainly kunai as and obviously if they all brought a somewhat first aid kit to either use on themselves or somebody, or like their other teammate that they were, and obviously someone checking them to make sure it was all obviously good and within date. With that all done, they would then head on out, with obviously going at with Sakura still kind of at the moment being the slowest. They would run at her fastest sustained speed, and yeah, they would arrive though within half an hour to an hour. And yeah, once they'd arrive, Kakashi would somewhat would somewhat tell them to stay here, as he was going to somewhat have a look and somewhat obviously check out, even though he'd state that there's only maybe I think 4 to 6 bandits in there, or at least that's what the scroll had the scroll that I got from Hokage-sama had reported. It could, from then when I got it around somewhat a couple of weeks, 2 weeks ago, it could have increased, and it could be 10, 8, 10, maybe even less, maybe 3 or 2. So yeah, as obviously bandits could be, going out for food or that, or yeah, they would just nod, and a couple minutes later Kakashi would be back stating that there were now 7 bandits, so 1 had joined. And yeah, he'd also somewhat state that it was clear they somewhat still looked like they were somewhat recruiting and building. So yeah, and so that's what. So you then somewhat tell them obviously it was each one of their targets has to draw somewhat in the dirt with a stick, somewhat the rough layout of the bandit camp, and where each bandit camp was roughly where they were. And yeah, and you tell obviously Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto where they would be. Naruto would be in the middle between Sasuke and Sakura, due to the fact she could make, obviously, 1,000+ clones. It's the, obviously, would be the smartest move to have her in the middle, because she could easily, if either one of them needed help or both of them needed help, then she could quite easily make 1,000+ shadow clones, 500, each side to help out. The other two, she could obviously, somewhat even send a couple to go help Kakashi if he needed it, which doubtful, but hey, a possibility. And yeah, he would somewhat obviously tell them that they would somewhat kind of, that if they can do it, then after that first kill, if you can carry on and do a second kill, then try and get a second kill, at least get 1 kill, and at the most get 2. Got it? They'd all say hi. And yeah, it would go, and somewhat they'd all get into position and wait for Kakashi to tell them to go in and kill their victim. And once Kakashi, and yeah, it would somewhat, seconds one is turned to minutes when Kakashi would finally tell them to go, which they would, and they'd all kill, and somewhat at the moment they'd not feel almost any guilt, so they would immediately turn around and go for their second second kill, which all of them would be able to get, and Kakashi would kill the actual one that the bandits gained. And yeah, he would somewhat tell them someone congratulating them on somewhat having their first kills, and and before they could even ask a question, Kakashi would say the answer. Well, I'm going to tell you something that will probably answer your question, and the reason why you right then and probably still at the moment still don't feel any remorse for what you've just done is because it's just happened. You're still in a flight or fight response, though you can give it a couple of minutes to a couple of hours and it really sink into what you have somewhat done. And yeah, and obviously the only way to take your mind off, or at least somewhat obviously for me, I somewhat read books to keep my mind off of all the plenty of people I've killed. So yeah, just find something you like to do that you can quite frankly just lose yourself in. My time seems to fly by. Yeah, they would somewhat nod, and on the way back, Sakura would be the first to really hit at would somewhat sink in that she just killed 2 people. And yeah, though obviously somewhat having somewhat Naruto being a close friend, somewhat to her, somewhat Sakura Though once they'd get back to the village and after Kakashi told them mission complete, Sasuke would still seemingly walk out like nothing bothered him. Kakashi would leave as well, and yeah, he'd somewhat tell Zambu to leave, which they obviously would, though they would all the Zambu would just somewhat wait outside the door to stop any people from obviously intruding in. As Kakashi then, Hizen would then put up a barrier, a soundproof barrier, as he'd then look over to Naruto, who, even though she looks like she, is perfectly fine and, like killing someone hasn't even bothered her, so he knows she's very damn good at hiding her real emotions, and that, and once they were all gone and that barrier was up, she almost obviously pretty much almost immediately busted out somewhat crying. And yeah, he was already somewhat around there, giving her somewhat cuddle, and Sakura, for her part, was somewhat just shocked. She'd never seen Naruto cry before. And yeah, it really somewhat obviously set in for her that yes, obviously Naruto very much is an a highly emotional person, just someone who can just bury their emotions to such a degree that nobody knows that they're suffering. And well, yeah, and both girls unanimously agreed that they considered one another a close friend. And yeah, still Sakura was, well, yeah, it really hit home obviously for Sakura that Naruto just had this obviously level of capability in masking her own emotions, and that pretty much in a way putting the mission first before her emotions. In a way, though, she knew that if her life was on the line, Naruto would immediately obviously drop whatever she was doing and, risk her own life to save hers. And yeah, anyway, though, they would somewhat talk for seemingly hours. And in reality, it would be at least an hour to an hour and a half, though to them it felt like an entire day they've just been speaking, as both girls would be emotionally drained, not much physically, but especially Naruto would be hardly physically drained at all, but emotionally she was heavily drained, and Sakura was just emotionally drained. Yeah, so both girls pretty much went their separate ways, and well, yeah, they'd somewhat both seemingly hit their bed, though Naruto practically just fell asleep just on her couch, not even making it to her bed, though she almost, her subconscious obviously knew she wouldn't be able to make it back to her bed, so it redirected her somewhat seemingly somewhat body onto autopilot to just go to the living room and somewhat just fall onto the settee. And once she'd done that, she'd immediately went into unconsciousness. And yeah, of course, with that, the next I would come by with obviously Hiruzen somewhat, though, and all. Well, no, Naruto and Sakura would be the last two to somewhat get there. And Sasuke still seemed to not have really suffered seemingly anything, though he was in somewhat, I'd obviously guess, because obviously Sasuke, is obviously wanting revenge and that for such obviously a long period of time now, that it probably won't really hit him probably for another day or two, and only then will it really somewhat obviously truly kind of sink into him, as obviously somewhat boys tend to have a more delayed response to certain things. Anyway, yeah, though he'd already given Kakashi and Sasuke their mission payroll, somewhat Naruto and Sakura, well, they'd be there now, and yeah, he was somewhat ask if obviously both of them were okay, which they would nod, and yeah, he was going to tell them that they would have a week off due to the obviously highly emotional just somewhat experience they've just gone through, and that yeah, though he would somewhat tell them that that, or at least if Kakashi obviously somewhat does want to, your team is now somewhat cleared for more, not obviously dangerous C ranks, but more C ranks. So instead of say having to meet a quota on D ranks to get a C rank, you can obviously just do C rank after C rank after C rank after C rank, if that's what obviously Kakashi somewhat wants to. And they would somewhat nod that, and yeah, and he was going to obviously just tell them to take the obviously week to really think about, do you still want to become a shinobi? And yeah, know that obviously from this point onwards, your kill count is going to increase. So you're only going to end up killing more and more people. And that's the thing, now that you've killed, you're going to find, in the future, obviously, most maybe say, from that, say your first A rank, you're very hesitant to maybe even help out or even kill when you had the, obviously, opportunity to do so, the greatest opportunity to do so. Now you're just going to start taking those opportunities a lot sooner. And yeah, so obviously you aren't going to now say kind of shy away from killing, because you've already learned how, and the more you kill, the more, well, not the more likely you are to kill, but the less likely you are when you know that you have to kill, that you will hesitate to kill. Because if you hesitate to kill someone, you're just prolonging that either, well, it depends on the person, but you could prolong their suffering due to your own hesitance to kill. Which, both guys would just know that, and yeah, from there they would then somewhat head their, they would somewhat head their separate ways. Sakura somewhat going to Ino to maybe try and rekindle their lost friendship, and Naruto herself was just going off to somewhat training ground 15, and to just sit there and think. Sure, she's gonna be shinobi no matter what. Even if she has to kill 1,000 billion trillion people, she will be a shinobi. She's a shinobi at heart, and she came back, and she wasn't gonna quit being a shinobi. Not now, not never. Yeah, she was practically born a shinobi, and she'll die a shinobi. And yeah, so and thus somewhat arrive 5 or so minutes later. She'd arrive at the training ground. She'd bite a thumb and go through a couple of hand signs before slamming her hand on the ground, summoning somewhat just somewhat a cat. And yeah, and the cat would go, so you're somewhat summoner, a new summoner. Which Naruto would just nod at, and then go, yeah. And the cat would go, well, you don't seem as bright as our boss has said, so I presume you've, some of your need a someone here to you need someone to talk to. Naruto would somewhat kind of nod. Sure, she'd already told Hiruzen, but she was obviously close with Hiruzen. Just getting obviously not really second opinion, but just maybe obviously somebody else will have something else to say to add. Was what her thoughts were coming to at the moment. And so she'd somewhat tell her summons what obviously somewhat happened in our latest mission, and yeah, obviously you would just somewhat listen and wouldn't interrupt at all. And yeah, well, I say cat, it's more of a kitten. It's somewhat young at the moment, and yeah, and it would be once she'd obviously finish explaining, they'd somewhat talk for a bit. Though obviously it being a kitten, it really couldn't add much to it. Though, to obviously having that Naruto already knew, but still, it was at least somewhat seemed like the weight that seemed to be over her seemed to somewhat lessen a lot more, telling somebody else than Hiruzen. She'd presumed it was more because Hiruzen, her Gigi, or the old man, was, the leader, the Hokage, and that probably everyone, got that from him. So, yeah, or at least everyone that wasn't a jerk, heard that from him. And yeah, anyway. And though the somewhat obviously Kitna does, somewhat what she could possibly do or that. And so she'd somewhat start obviously showing what she somewhat obviously could do. And yeah, the kitten was somewhat obviously, just enjoying it somewhat time and that. And obviously the fact that it also asked that question to obviously somewhat get Naruto's own mind off of the fact she's killed someone and that, because obviously the more your mind sits on an idea, the more ideas, and possibly if it's bad, the worse it gets, or the more guilty you feel about something. And yeah. Anyway, though the week would go by with somewhat Sakura generally spending more time with seemingly Ino and somewhat her parents, because it also settled in for Sakura that she really could lose her parents, or her parents, any day, or more so, they could lose her anytime she goes out on a mission. And yeah, and she somewhat obviously hang around with Ino somewhat a bit more now that they seemingly had rekindled their friendship. And yeah, though while Ino still seemed to want obviously the rivalry somewhat over Sasuke to continue, Sakura wasn't all that interested in really Sasuke now, as she was more dedicated to obviously her training. And well, yeah, she was also somewhat surprised to hear that, still hadn't really somewhat known what elemental affinity was. Obviously, when Ino had asked her, she stated that she had no idea, because that she was lazy. It was somewhat obviously a white lie. Yes, she obviously knew, but she obviously wasn't exactly or lying, just because she was indeed a lazy person, or at least a lazy sensei. Yeah, though. Anyway, so they hadn't exactly somewhat hanged out that, and the fact Naruto had somewhat, or at least at the moment, had somewhat preferred to be by herself and that, which his wasn't all that surprising, as it was a similar thing Kushina had somewhat done after her first kill or kills. Kushina had somewhat had kind of been alone for a while for her, somewhat in her own mind, somewhat. Yeah, though eventually obviously she'd somewhat returned, seemingly with even more anger than before, though the greater anger towards certain people was more justified due to the fact that obviously she's now killed, and somewhat opened her eyes even more to the much harsher world than before. And yeah, and once Naruto had started getting out of her seemingly funk that she'd found herself kind of in, or at least that's what Sakura had somewhat called it. I'd seen or at least when an Armbu had decided somewhat or when Hiruzen had somewhat had called somewhat Team 7 in, just mainly somewhat obviously for a check-up and to see if Kakashi was teaching them anything. Well, yeah, as I said, Armbu had decided to somewhat annoy her at the wrong time, and had somewhat found himself flying, or at least somewhat a couple having to dodge a couple kunai, and then being whacked in the balls before being somewhat given two black eyes and being thrown headfirst out of window and into another building. Yeah, she wasn't really in the best moods. Though, yeah. Anyway, though, after that, she did obviously go to Hiruzen, who had seen who could somewhat not, well, both seemingly Kakashi and Hiruzen had somewhat pelled when Naruto was somewhat getting nearer to the tower, as they could feel a somewhat awe of death seemingly just irradiate from somewhere, and yeah, of course, once Naruto had walked in, they'd already guessed who it was coming from, and they were wondering somewhat who ticked her off this time. Or at least Hiruzen was wondering that, and Kakashi was just somewhat frightened to his core, knowing just how dangerous Kushina was when she was angry. And, oh yeah. Though, of course, he was somewhat dismayed that Kakashi obviously still hadn't taught them anything. And yeah, he'd obviously somewhat asked Kakashi why, as he'd simply stated that he didn't exactly, the team exactly wasn't kind of working properly, and obviously to train a kind of unfunctional team in more dangerous techniques just took that more, and it up the danger, obviously somewhat level out of one of them dying, brought that through the roof practically. So you'd say obviously that's somewhat why, though now he may obviously somewhat start teaching them some techniques, or at least seeing what they knew, and some other stuff which Susan would presume was probably their elemental affinity, though we couldn't be really sure. The other obviously things could really just mean that Kakashi was going to start pushing them more physically, which would obviously help them store more, as well, most people these days, most ninja these obviously days, tend to lay more heavily on ninjutsu and that, so the chakra, instead of more physical, like Guy and his mini him, Lee. And well, yeah. And obviously he knew it was a massive shame that Lee couldn't really properly use chakra, because if he could and he was still that strong, Lee probably already, he was probably, amused himself countless times that Lee would probably already be tuning, if not Jonin, with his somewhat strength, and that if he just had chakra, the proper ability to use chakra, he would have been at least Jonin by now. So, yeah. Anyway. And, yeah, though, after seemingly that, they would obviously leave with Kakashi telling them to somewhat meet him at Training Ground 7, and that he may be a bit late. And, yeah, though they would just somewhat nod, and they would all be over at Training Ground 7. Kakashi would arrive somewhat a couple minutes later. And you'd somewhat obviously ask them if any of them somewhat were rage, which Naruto and Sakura would hold up their hands, and Kakashi would ask how much they are currently, or how much do they either wear or currently are wearing. And they'd somewhat both tell him, I can't remember how much I made them wear. Whoops. anyway, yeah, they would somewhat tell him, and somewhat he would nod and ask obviously how long they'd been wearing that for, and they would say, and would obviously also somewhat tell them that when they'd been wearing it, and that within the next, say, couple of days or some week, or within the next couple of days, that they'd be up in that amount again. Kakashi would just nod and would then look over to Sasuke and would somewhat throw him a somewhat power rates. Still, somewhat not as. It would be not as heavy as somewhat Naruto's, as obviously she's been wearing rates for somewhat longer, so her body was more used to the somewhat initial kind of shock at the the limbs becoming heavier, because that obviously initial shock made, say, maybe 1 kilogram feel like 10 or 20, and because the initial shock wasn't, oh my god, this feels 20, like 20 kilograms. No, it was more so like your entire body, seemingly suddenly seem to, say, lose, like, say, up to, say, 90% of its abilities, up until it got somewhat used to it. Then you could somewhat increase the rates. And anyway, so Kakashi would somewhat do that, and would then tell them to spar against him with their somewhat rates on, though he'd somewhat tell Sasuke to go first, which he would, and somewhat like normal, Sasuke could last 5-10-ish minutes against Kakashi, with obviously Kakashi pushing Sasuke to his limits. Sasuke would only find himself lasting a minute, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, which obviously he somewhat, thought to himself, understandable, because, I'm wearing weights now. Sasuke would go up and would do a minute and a Sasuke done 2 minutes, Sakura done a minute and a half, and it was somewhat dumbfounding for him, had Sakura grown all that much, or was obviously somewhat, or was she so used to somewhat the weight she was wearing, and obviously somewhat Naruto, though he was somewhat obviously a button to his pride, he always knew that Naruto could just keep on going, and it was always Kakashi who somewhat had told her that to stop, due to somewhat the fact that Kakashi himself was running out of stamina, because Naruto just kept on obviously getting back up and just taking the hits and almost dishing it, well, not really dishing it back, but and somewhat obviously you can see, Naruto easily go past the 2-minute mark. They'd entered 10, and Kakashi obviously was somewhat still somewhat, and Sasuke could somewhat see that Kakashi, once they'd reached the 15-minute mark, that Kakashi, that sensei, was starting to sweat somewhat a bit, and at the 20-minute mark Kakashi would somewhat started to somewhat stop, which somewhat she would, and she'd have a bit of sweat, but barely anything compared to Kakashi, who somewhat looked like, you could you could somewhat use like within the next maybe minute or so would pass out, as Naruto looked like she could go on for another maybe half an hour or so before she'd somewhat drop to the ground exhausted. Kakashi would somewhat though look at somewhat Naruto and ask somewhat what was obviously a somewhat starting rate and how much, and she'd somewhat state that her starting rates were or at least these rates were triple that of her starting rates, which somewhat surprised Kakashi, and should somewhat also continue to state that Sakura had followed the same kind of somewhat 3 times weight increase, as going double seemed to not really improve us that somewhat much. And when I mean improve, I mean it gave us a challenge, but it didn't give us kind of like it didn't really, like, doubling the weight didn't seemingly like decrease our stamina by double. It seemed to not really hit our stamina all that hard, so 3 times as much should somewhat around about half that stamina, or at least Sakura's, whereas I could have somewhat probably easily gone maybe 5 or 6 times, maybe more, but I didn't, because I may be able to deal with that much, but it probably wouldn't be great on my body, which Kakashi just somewhat nod at that. Somewhat thankfully that Naruto hadn't just somewhat run away somewhat with the some ideals of somewhat weights and just increasing them over and over and over and over again. Every time our body seemed to just get used to them. And obviously once your body was used to them, it just meant that it was used to doing, daily tasks with the weights on. It didn't mean, you could run for as long or jump as high or lift as somewhat, as normally heavy things as you did. It just means you can do relatively light tasks like bathing, walking, and that with some ease. Anyway, he would somewhat, though he would somewhat obviously asked Naruto if they had worn the weights during their last mission, which Sakura would state that she didn't, and Naruto would state that she did, due to the fact that even when Sakura has somewhat weights off, I'm still somewhat faster than her. Which, wouldn't really surprise Kakashi all that much. And though they would talk for a bit more, and mainly somewhat Kakashi would tell them that it would be now more focusing on their speed, strength, and agility, as that I need somewhat suggest for the 2 girls to maybe somewhat take some ballerina classes to probably be able to control their balance. And though Sakura would somewhat just nod, and that would state that she somewhat wouldn't need it, Kakashi would quack an eyebrow and ask why, and that would simply state that she somewhat kind of just look away and go that she was and already could somewhat and already somewhat she at least was or at least was somewhat in a ballerina class for a while. Though Kakashi would ask when did she stop, and she would somewhat just try and move the conversation in a different direction away from that. Though Kakashi then but obviously somewhat allowed the conversation to move to obviously Naruto to move it, as it's clear that it was uncomfortable for her, though Kakashi thought to himself that he'd go and ask the Hokage, though, and he was somewhat obviously hoping that Hiruzen would somewhat obviously tell him, though, and then to him, Hiruzen would not, as obviously it was Naruto's own somewhat things, and Hiruzen himself didn't know. So normally somewhat knew, not even Sakura, and Sakura somewhat looked flawed or surprised that Naruto somewhat knew somewhat not just knew it but could also do ballet. Though then again, somewhat none of them ever really questioned Naruto's somewhat abilities, even when it come to somewhat stealth and that. No, they seemed to really question it, which was kind of somewhat stupid of them, because if they did, then they would have really truly realised her true abilities and just how somewhat obviously kind of diamond in the rough she really was. And it seemed like Kakashi was starting to realise that Naruto was possibly more of a prodigy and or genius than Sasuke is. And yeah, and anyway, though, they would seemingly talk for a bit more. Kakashi suggesting obviously different things. And yeah, though Sasuke and those somewhat bring up the ballet thing again, that's how comes, somewhat Kakashi hadn't suggested him to do it, and Kakashi would point out that Sasuke, or at least as Sasuke himself, that he was more of a kind of mid to somewhat long range fighter, though he'd somewhat point out that he had the better taijutsu of Naruto and Sakura, as you go through, but you don't have the stamina of Naruto, or you don't just have the strength, not the strength, you don't have the stamina of Naruto, which Naruto herself is good for short, medium, and somewhat long range, though mainly short to medium. You're better off at medium to long due to somewhat Sharingan, which is a lot more useful at further distances than is actually close up. And yeah, because somewhat up close you're more focused on one person, whereas far away you can more focus on multiple people, which will then allow your teammates to work more efficiently at dealing with obviously people and being able to do the mission that much faster. And yeah, and plus the fireball and a lot of the fire style jutsus are kind of mid-range jutsus, mid to long range jutsus, so you are better off at a somewhat short, kind of mid, like you're okay at somewhat short range, but you don't have any real kind of good short range jutsus. You more have good medium to long range jutsus. Naruto is mainly somewhat all the jutsu she has got. She's somewhat mastered, probably to a degree that none of us could probably ever get to in as such. She's brilliant at close range, close to medium range, due to just the sheer amount of obviously damage she can, you yourself can take without really getting tired. You can wear down your opponents with just your pure stamina alone when you're not wearing greats, of course. And yeah, Naruto just somewhat nod, and Sakura asks where someone should lane Kakashi should say. To be honest, I'm not really sure at the moment, as it depends on what you kind of want to more kind of specialise in. Should I specialise, as Kakashi should nod, I'm going, well, sadly for you, due to your kind of somewhat smaller reserves, you'd be better off at actually specialising in a field than trying to be a kind of more somewhat all-rounder fighting type person. You'd be better off, say, maybe somewhat going into maybe learning medical or medical ninjutsu or genjutsu, somewhat to help up the team. And yeah, Sakura somewhat look a bit down, though should know, or somewhat should know, that obviously Kakashi's only saying this to the Sakura that somewhat he knew, which was somewhat old Sakura, the fangirlish, the fangirl incest Sasuke fangirl. The Sakura she was now somewhat was probably a well, at the moment was definitely a more somewhat close to mid-range person, more focused on close range, whilst Naruto was more, well, yes. So, well, yeah, both Naruto and Sakura are both seemingly more close-esque range, especially Naruto with his somewhat obviously Sharingan and somewhat summoning jutsu. Well, contracted summoning, a summoning contracted animal, or contracted animal. Anyway, yeah, someone now to ask if they would be going on a mission anytime soon, and Kakashi stated that they would be going on some more somewhat D ranks, only so that Sasuke could obviously get used to his somewhat ways. Though Sasuke would somewhat snort and say this was nothing, Kakashi would somewhat point out and go, well, if those weights are nothing, then why did you only last 2 minutes? You only last 10 to 15 minutes, not 2 minutes. Sasuke would seemingly just glare at him, and Kakashi would say, see, your body is somewhat overwhelmed with the extra sudden amount of weight that your body and limbs have gained, and don't think you can somewhat just take it off once you leave. No, I want those weights on constantly, because if you take them on, the only time you can take them off is to bath and to sleep. Any other time, and no, unless I tell you otherwise, to take them off. Which they would somewhat nod, though Naruto and Sakura would somewhat obviously use that somewhat judgment as, which Kakashi would obviously be more than fine with, as they obviously, their judgment up until now was fine and kind of somewhat right, as really their judgment was if they went on a C rank mission. So, well, if a C or D rank mission took them outside the village, weights came off. Even if their sensei now knew that they wore weights and he told them to keep them on, they would take them off and just lie to him that they had them on and would act like they were on when they'd be off. So, yeah. Anyway, and something, though, after that, after they'd seemingly somewhat catch their breath, and I would then tell them to tell them to obviously do sit-ups and that, and though Naruto somewhat ask him how come he wasn't doing it with them, and Kakashi say that he was joining their sensei. And Sakura goes, so sensei, like what happens if we come across somebody who's somewhat stronger than you? And, if you're not doing this training with us, then you could very much end up dying and leaving us to die. Kakashi would simply stare at Sakura as in all his somewhat seemingly short life and somewhat wisdom, he hadn't thought of that. And the expression on his face told them that much, that he'd mainly focused all his brain power on them and not himself, and that whilst he was making them stronger, he wasn't exactly making himself much stronger. He was making the team as a whole somewhat stronger, but with him still being the same, obviously, strength, it was more than possible that they could easily be sent on a C rank, which could easily, as it's happened before, turn to an A rank, and that A rank could easily turn into an S. And they could easily all die. Heck, the A rank, all intents and purposes, should have woken Kakashi up from his seemingly kind of somewhat lazy attitude, but it didn't. And though he'd just nod and somewhat tell them to start, and that he'd be back probably within the next couple of minutes or so. and 20 or so minutes later, and Kakashi would somewhat come back, dragging his body. Seemingly just dragging himself in, as he was wearing quite heavy weights. He'd ran the majority of that up until somewhat his kind of seemingly the realization that he was now kind of actually wearing weights again, or wearing weights, and somewhat the that and the fact that his lungs felt like they someone was pouring lava down them. And it was at that someone just dropped to the ground, and someone was gasping for breath, as is obviously wearing as much weight as he did probably wasn't such a great idea. Even though it seemingly didn't feel completely like much, as someone he was strong, and he knew obviously his abilities would tank as the weight, with these weights on. He didn't quite realise the amount of weights he'd accidentally found himself putting on his legs. Whoops. Though, once he'd get there, he'd obviously tell him to somewhat take a break, and though after obviously somewhat asking them after how much they did, and them asking how much weight Kakashi put on, Kakashi would simply say that he'd put a bit too much on, which, while considering that Kakashi dragged himself through, they could believe him. And so that's what they would simply do for the next month, as the Genin exams were coming up. So Kakashi really didn't want to teach them anything like elemental ninjutsu, due to the simple fact that it could, they may not obviously get it in time in that, and that and Naruto's kind of, both Naruto and Sakura on their own after the training, which was now a lot harder, or at least Sakura hadn't found much time. Well, not really much time, but she hadn't been all that kind of motivated to somewhat train in her elemental affinity, due to the somewhat fact that obviously all that training that they'd been going through Naruto was more than perfectly fine to go through and do some elemental ninjutsu training. So she did, and she'd finally mastered level 2 of wind after after that, I was doing obviously the similarly somewhat time they were meant to take as a break, and that she had been obviously doing it somewhat on the sidelines, from either the waterfall when she was somewhat alone, to just trying to stop the water coming out of a tap, or that, cutting that in half and stopping it from flowing downwards any further. And anyway, and with that, guys, I am going to end this YF here. So if you have enjoyed this part, tell me in the comments down below. And guys, have a good day or night, depending on wherever you are and whenever you watch this. Have a good day or night, and good bye.